Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Friday, November 25th, 2022. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with PW Insider reporting that independent wrestler Brandon Graver appeared at a hearing before the Central Court for Huntington County, Pennsylvania this past Wednesday, whereas multiple charges for drug possession were transferred to the state's Court of Common Pleas. Graver, better known as deathmatch wrestler G. Raver, was arrested alongside his acquaintance Barry Leach on November 18th after state troopers found both men slouched over in a car, suffering from the effects of an overdose. After receiving Narcan and coming back to consciousness, both men were arrested. According to PW Insider's report, Graver will be arraigned on January 5th and faces 9 drug and driving charges, including a felony charge of manufacture, deliver, or possession with intent to manufacture or deliver. When Graver and Leach were found, TV station WTAJ reported that police found over 25 grams of possible methamphetamines, marijuana, heroin, mushrooms, alprazolam, and drug paraphernalia. Graver remains jailed at Huntington County Prison with his bail set at $75,000. Ric Flair revealed on his To Be the Man podcast that he's scheduled to attend the upcoming WWE Raw 30th Anniversary show in Philadelphia on Monday, January 23rd, along with also attending the Royal Rumble 5 days later in San Antonio. When asked by his co-host Conrad Thompson if Flair had WWE's approval to share that information, Flair responded, quote, "They didn't say don't tell anybody," unquote. On July 31st, Flair wrestled what was purported to be his last match on a Thompson-promoted card as part of StarCast 5. Flair had been granted his release directly by former WWE Chairman Vince McMahon on August 3rd, 2021, after expressing frustrations regarding the company's creative, including a storyline which involved the 72-year-old being romantically involved with Lacey Evans during her feud with Flair's daughter Charlotte. Impact Wrestling officially confirmed on Thursday that Alan Angels has signed with the company. On Wednesday, Angels appeared on the Paltrocast podcast where the former AEW wrestler revealed that he had signed to the company in October, but he had kept his employment status to himself as the storyline to introduce him and Big Con, the former Connor in WWE, into the Violent by Design faction had played itself out on the November 6th edition of Impact on Access TV.
Pretty much as soon as I signed is when we did the whole Violent by Design stuff. So I think it was once I joined Violent by Design, everybody just kind of figured it out. You know what I mean? But I signed at in the middle of October. So yeah, not too long.
But apparently you're good at keeping a secret. That's what we're learning here.
I think so. I think I'm pretty good at it. I mean, actually, I didn't even know until like a few days beforehand that they were going to sign me. So.
Angels, who's only going by his last name in Impact, first debuted for the company in July, losing an X Division title match to then-champion Speedball Mike Bailey. Angels returned for the company's television tapings on October 21st in Las Vegas, where he lost a first-round X Division title tournament match to eventual winner Trey Miguel, and later taped the segment with his new faction beating down Sami Callihan. Paul Heyman took to his Heyman Hustle page on Facebook to offer a tribute to the late wrestling photographer Bob Mulrennan. Mulrennan, who passed away last week after a battle with cancer at the age of 58, served as a contributor to the online media platform since its launch in 2010, but his relationship with Heyman goes back much further, with the former fellow photographer making the post, in which part read, quote, "I've known Bob since 1980, and have never heard a single human being say one bad thing about Bob. There's a good reason for that. There was nothing bad to say about Bob," unquote. Heyman then attached some of his favorite photos that Mulrennan had contributed over the years to the post. Mulrennan was a longtime photographer stretching back to the late 70s, where he shot Worldwide Wrestling Federation tapings in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Over the years, Mulrennan also shot for WWE, AEW Impact, and Ringside Collectibles, among others. And finally, in a correction from yesterday's program, when discussing AEW Dynamite, I misspoke when giving the current standings of the Death Triangle Elite Trio series of matches. As of today, the Death Triangle has won 2 bouts, and the Elite have won 0, not 1, as I incorrectly stated. I apologize for the error. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.